What if earning too little is not the real reason you still do not feel wealthy? Every time your income increases, your lifestyle quietly grows until it absorbs almost all of the difference. To understand how this happens, imagine Daniel, an ordinary professional whose life appears financially comfortable. Daniel is 31, manages projects for a technology company, and earns $8,000 to $5,000 every year. Compared with what many workers earn, $8,000 to $5,000 is objectively a strong and respectable salary. His friends think he is doing well, his parents see stability, and social media makes his life look successful. He rents a modern apartment, drives a newer car, travels sometimes, and regularly eats at good restaurants. But once the image disappears, Daniel still does not feel financially secure or genuinely wealthy. One car repair, medical bill, or broken laptop could immediately push his entire month into financial stress. After taxes, health insurance, and retirement deductions, his actual monthly take-home pay is about $5,000. Before anything else, his apartment removes $850 from every monthly paycheck. Then $620 disappears each month before the car is even fully his. Insurance, fuel, parking, and maintenance add another $450 every single month. His education is still being paid for through another $350 each month. Phone, internet, subscriptions, and utilities quietly consume about $400 more every month. Groceries and eating out together remove roughly $800 from his budget every month. Clothes, travel, gifts, entertainment, and small purchases seem harmless until they all appear together. By the end of the month, only $300 or $400 may remain under his control. And in months with one extra expense, even that small remaining amount disappears completely. This is the contradiction of modern middle-class life, looking comfortable while owning very little financial freedom. A salary can look impressive on paper while leaving you with very little that you truly own. The problem is not always reckless spending, because most financial pressure comes from ordinary-looking choices. Daniel is not buying private jets or luxury watches. Almost every expense in his budget looks completely normal. And that is exactly why the problem remains hidden until the small payments become one large burden. Financial pressure rarely comes from one foolish decision. It usually comes from many reasonable monthly payments. A slightly better apartment feels like progress, but it quietly adds hundreds of dollars to every month. A safer, newer car sounds responsible, but the upgrade can create 6 years of monthly payments. A premium phone contract looks inexpensive monthly until the small charge becomes hundreds of dollars each year. A few subscriptions barely feel noticeable until their combined cost becomes another serious monthly bill. A holiday lasts 1 week, but financing it can keep the cost alive for several years. Together, these purchases begin to feel normal for anyone earning a respectable professional salary. The hidden mistake is treating an affordable payment as proof that the purchase itself is affordable. Daniel's car shows exactly how a reasonable monthly payment can hide a much larger decision. Against $5,000 of monthly income, a $620 payment feels manageable. But repeated for 5 years, that small monthly payment becomes $37,200. Once insurance, fuel, parking, interest, and maintenance are included, the real cost can exceed $65,000. The problem is that the car never feels like a $65,000 decision. Instead, the entire purchase is mentally reduced to a $620 monthly decision. That gap is how consumer finance changes the way the brain evaluates expensive purchases. It takes one expensive purchase and breaks it into small numbers that appear almost harmless. The same mental trick happens with credit cards, where the purchase disappears before the debt does. A $4,000 balance can look manageable when the required minimum payment is only a small monthly amount. Paying only the minimum can keep the balance alive for years, while interest quietly replaces much of the progress. Paying only the minimum can keep the balance alive for years, while interest quietly replaces much of the progress. The purchase feels finished, but part of every future paycheck still belongs to that old decision. But this is the central problem. Future income is often committed long before it ever reaches your account. A strong income can create the appearance of wealth, while future earnings are already committed to old decisions. Psychologically, this makes sense because immediate comfort feels more real than a distant financial consequence. People rarely judge their finances alone. They measure themselves against the lifestyles visible around them. Colleagues, friends, and polished online lives quietly become the standard Daniel uses to judge himself. After a promotion, Daniel does not compare his new life with the life he had before. He compares himself to coworkers with even more. Instead, he compares himself with other people earning similar salaries and spending much more visibly. His old car still works perfectly, but comparison suddenly makes it feel inadequate. His comfortable apartment begins to feel temporary simply because someone else has something larger. Economy travel also starts to feel uncomfortable once premium travel becomes the new comparison point. This is called lifestyle inflation, although in real life, it usually looks ordinary rather than dramatic. Lifestyle inflation rarely feels reckless. Most of the time, it simply feels like progress. You work harder, earn more, and naturally expect your daily life to become more comfortable. Wanting comfort is not irrational. The problem is confusing comfort with endless upgrading. The danger begins when every improvement creates another payment that returns month after month. Now suppose Daniel receives a $10,000 raise and expects his finances to improve. After tax, that $10,000 raise may add only about $500 to each month. A larger apartment, a better car, and a few new bills can erase the entire raise almost immediately. On paper, Daniel now earns more money than he did before. His apartment, car, and daily routine may all look noticeably better. But once the new expenses are included, his actual financial position has not improved at all. Despite the higher salary, Daniel is still completely dependent on the arrival of his next paycheck. The monthly numbers look small, but the long-term cost tells a very different story. Investing $500 monthly at roughly 7% for 25 years could grow beyond $400,000. That outcome is not guaranteed because real markets rise, fall, and rarely move in a smooth line. The calculation is not a promise. It simply reveals the scale of the trade-off being made. The true cost of spending $500 monthly is much larger than the payment you see today. You also give up the future growth that those same $500 might have created. This does not mean every dollar must be invested, or that enjoying life is financially wrong. It means recurring expenses deserve far more attention because they repeat long after the original decision. A one-time purchase hurts once, but a monthly commitment can reshape several years of your financial life. Financially intelligent people do not always earn the most. They simply keep more of what they earn. They understand that income is money received, while wealth is the portion that remains. Income is simply the money that enters your account from work or other sources. Wealth is what stays under your control after expenses, debt, and obligations have been paid. A salary can disappear quickly, which is why income alone should never be confused with security. A job can end without warning, and the salary connected to it can stop just as quickly. Entire industries can change, making yesterday's stable income far less certain than it once appeared. A high income becomes valuable only when part of it is converted into assets, savings, and flexibility. Financially intelligent people do not reject every upgrade. They evaluate upgrades differently. Instead of asking whether the payment fits this month, they ask what the decision costs over 5 years. Instead of copying people with similar incomes, they ask whether the purchase is worth losing financial flexibility. This is not extreme frugality. It is simply refusing to confuse comfort with excess. It is simply accurate accounting, looking at the full cost instead of the convenient monthly number. A good salary is valuable because it gives you more options about how your future can look. But income alone does not create wealth unless some of it remains and begins working for you. Income can rise for decades while financial security stays flat if every raise becomes a more expensive lifestyle. The goal is not to look poor or remove every enjoyable part of life. The real goal is to stop your lifestyle from consuming every financial benefit your career creates. The difference between earning well and becoming wealthy is often not intelligence, luck, or ambition. In the end, wealth is determined less by what you earn than by what you manage to keep. If this perspective helped you think more clearly about money, subscribe for more calm and realistic financial discussions.